I'm Joe Marn. If you want to know what I look like, I'm that scary looking man with the picture up on the slide. I'm going to tell you a little bit about my university. I'm also going to introduce you to my colleague from the Hague Pathway Programme, with whom we work, and she'll talk to you more later. I am going to apologise for probably repeating some stuff that you've heard already from other schools, should you've been sitting through a number of presentations. If you haven't been through any other presentations, then it may be something new for you. Okay, so I'm Joe Marn from the Hague University of Applied Science. There you are, a nice picture of the Netherlands, which is actually a picture taken not too far from where I live. Lots of lovely windmills. Netherlands, though, is a little bit more than that. It's actually quite a modern, powerful little country, so maybe a few facts and figures. We're about 17 million people. We have a lot of foreign students, pretty near 100,000 in fact. For a country that doesn't have English as their native language, we're actually now officially the best English-speaking country in the world outside of native English-speaking countries. So if you arrive in the Netherlands, everybody can speak in English with you and is pretty happy to do so. We're really well connected. I can step out of my office in The Hague and be in Paris in about 3.5 hours or so. Get to London by train, get to Berlin by train. The airport's about half an hour away by train. It's a very multicultural country, very multinational. It's like sort of Singapore of Europe in many ways. It's got a very good educational system. Whether you look at primary, high school or universities, they always come inside the top 10 globally. And it's a safe country. So I think it's a good place to be an international student in. Okay, now you've seen on the title, the Hague University of Applied Sciences. The applied sciences bit is important because it says a lot about who we are and what we do. There are two sorts of universities in the Netherlands, applied sciences, which is where about 2/3 go, and a research university. With the applied sciences, which means we're more practical, more focused on your future careers than perhaps some research universities. We mix theory and practice together. We work closely with companies, for example. We're very solution-oriented. Class sizes are generally pretty small. A lot of the time our classes are 25 to 30 students, and you get fairly intensive guidance from your lecturers and your teachers. You'll have a lot of contact with them. And one very important thing as well, all of our students are required to do a work placement, which is very useful to you when you want to start working. There you go, there's a picture of The Hague, which includes the school in it. In the distance on the horizon, you can actually see the sea. We're actually a coastal town, which is really nice. Hague is really a lovely city. It's one of the 3 main cities of the Netherlands. That's Amsterdam, Rotterdam, and The Hague, and we're in between them. I'm biased, but I think it's the nicest of the 3 cities. It is the city of international peace and justice, so it's a United Nations city, one of the 4. It's 500,000 residents, or just over, which for the Netherlands is big. I know for most parts of the world it's tiny. It's a very green city. About 1/3 of the city are parks and so on. It's got 11 kilometers of coastline, which is really nice to walk along. Lots of international organizations, well over 100 of them, loads of theaters, loads of museums. It's also very much a commercial city. So, for example, Shell have their world headquarters there. And though officially it's not the capital, that's officially Amsterdam, the government and the parliament and the embassies are all based in The Hague. So it's very international, it's very, very cosmopolitan. A few facts about the university itself. It's about 26,000 students, which makes it one of the larger universities in the Netherlands. It's very, very international, so about 13% of its students are from abroad. And in the international programs, they're usually the majority of students. That includes Taiwanese students, I should say. We have a lot of exchange partners across the world. In Taiwan, our main exchange partner and also for research and things is Suzhou University. We also have students from just about every country we can think of. When I checked yesterday, we had 153 different nationalities of students and lecturers as well, come from across the world. Most of you will study on the main campus in The Hague. So, if you want to know a little bit about what that's like, this is what you see every morning, that top picture on the left when you walk in. It's where you also leave every day. It's very modern. It's a very, very cool campus, and it's in the central area of The Hague. So I can walk to the Parliament in about 20 minutes. Lots of cafes, lots of work areas, because our style of work is often to work in small groups and in projects. So we have a lot of project areas. Now, I'm going to leave a little bit of time for also, I'm going to go fairly quickly through some of the programs. You'll notice I have some numbers next to them because most of our bachelor's programs in English are 4 years, but we have some that are also 3 years only and some that are. What does that mean? Well, Taiwanese students generally can get into the 4-year programs without too many problems. However, for 3-year programs, they usually need to meet extra requirements. For that, we have a pathway program, which you're going to hear about more in a few minutes. And the pathway program is not only good for helping you to join a 3-year program, it's also very good for developing your English skills, your learning skills, and helping you to make that adjustment from when you come from Taiwan, different language, culture, style of learning, into the sort of system that we use. So it means it increases your chances of success. So we have in the area of business a couple of programs. One is called International Business. It's for those people who want to do business, but they're not really sure what sort of business they want to do. So the first half of the program, they do a little bit of everything in the areas of business. Then later on, they specialize in things like marketing and entrepreneurship and other areas. This program as well also requires its students to go on exchange with one of our many partners across the world. So in theory, you can even go back to Taiwan to do your exchange, but having seen Taiwan, you might like to choose somewhere else. They also teach a lot of languages. So again, if you want to kind of increase your job prospects, etc., for in the future, it's good to learn a foreign language. For those of you who are much more focused on numbers, know you want to do finance, we have a 3- and 4-year program for finance and management control. Okay, then we have international sport management, and I see a mistake there. The next 2 programs actually should only be 3 years, show 3 years. Both international sport management and user experience design take 3 years only. That means if you want to join as a Taiwanese student, you may well need to think about the pathway program. Sport management is, like it says, about the management of sport. Sport is actually one of the biggest industries in the world. It's everything from sports clubs, big events like the Olympic Games and the World Cup. It's about your local leisure center, for example, and sports center and local gym. It's about creating national sports teams that win Olympic gold medals. It's a vast industry and it's worth billions. And just to give you a clue of just how much it's worth, the richest football club in the world is Manchester United. And that was worth, at the last estimate, about $2.5 billion. It's big business. For those of you who kind of have an interest in technology, a little bit of psychology and business, I want to learn about how to bring these things together. We have a program called User Experience Design. User Experience Design is a program which is where we combine technology and people to make people's lives better. So it can be something as simple as an app, which can allow an old person suffering with diabetes and mobility problems to be able to still be able to live independently, where it's connected to a hospital so that the hospital can monitor your health long distance. Many of the students in this program will actually go on to start their own businesses. And so we work with a lot of startups as well. Okay, for those of you who are less interested in technology, we have a number of programs. We have international European law, which is, like it says, international and European law, particularly international law. The Hague is the best place in the world probably to study international law because we are the United Nations City of Law, we have the International Criminal Court, and a lot of other international legal organizations. Many of the teachers in that program actually are also working at the International Criminal Court. For those of you, and it's a 4-year program, and for those of you who are interested in, for example, things like international relations, conflict resolution, we have a program called International Public Management, which is looking at international relations, it's international organizations, conflict resolution, international economics, etc. So if you want to do that program and thinking about what you want to do afterwards, it might be into diplomacy, for example, or working in an international organization. We have a program called Safety and Security Management Studies, and Safety and Security Management Studies is kind of in a way a bit sad because the more dangerous the world gets, the more you need people from this program. They look at everything, for example, from management during a pandemic, managing a pandemic crisis like we're going through now. It can be things like cybersecurity, counterterrorism, industrial safety, drugs prevention, all sorts of things that are related in that area. So they look at economics, politics, sociology, psychology, crime, etc. Now, for those of you who are a little bit more technically oriented, we have a couple of programs. Both of these programs can be done in 3 years, and again, I see a spot of mistake. Process and food technology can be done in 3 or 4 years. Industrial design engineering takes 3 years. Now, process and food technology is about how things are made. So how is, for example, is something transformed from a raw material into the product that gets into the shop? The Netherlands is actually the second biggest manufacturer of processed food, for example, in the Netherlands. So, for example, how does a coffee bean end up in the packet of coffee that you use to put in your coffee machine? Well, you're going to look at all of that, or oil get transformed into fuel you put into your car. So for those of you who've got a chemistry background, this is an excellent program, and the job prospects from this are particularly good. Industrial design engineering is a 3-year program. That's a mistake on the screen. And it's for those of you who are interested in technology, interested in design, and interested in how products come to be made. So, for example, why is the iPhone such a beloved object across the world? It's beloved because it's well designed, it's got good software, it's got good engineering, it's well manufactured, it's well marketed. Industrial design engineering looks at all of those things. Right, and that's the 3-year program. European Studies is in what we call the area of management and organization. European Studies can be done in 3 or 4 years. If you're kind of thinking, well, why is the European Studies of any interest to me? Well, in this program, they look at the business, the culture, the politics, the government of Europe in general, but in the European Union in particular. And the European Union was, until recently, the biggest trade bloc in the world. It's in many ways, it's got a common currency amongst many of its countries, a common economy. And it's, even for a country like Taiwan, a region of the world which has a big influence on the economy and on the politics and safety and security of the rest of the world. So they'll look at all the business, politics, etc. of the European Union, inside it and outside it. For those of you who kind of want to do something businessy, are not necessarily hardcore business types, we have a program called International Communication Management, which takes 3 years. And it's basically how do organizations handle all of the communication issues, internal, external, public relations, social media, branding, marketing, crisis communication, etc. So we can see, for example, during the pandemic, how important it is that, for example, that we clearly communicate as a company or as an organization with the society that surrounds us. Okay. Now, those were our bachelor's programs. We also have some master's programs in English. We've got 3 of them. They're more or less developed, they're more or less based on equivalent bachelor's programs we have. So communication management, which I just mentioned, Master of Financial Management and Control, which is based on our Financial Management Control bachelor's program, and our MBA program, which is based on the MBA program. The MBA program, I should say, is a fairly general MBA program. You look at all the different areas, and then towards the end of the program, you specialize. Okay. What happens after you graduate from either a bachelor's or a master's? Well, as you've probably heard already, you can stay in the Netherlands for a year to look for a job. Job prospects are good. Our students have very good job prospects upon graduation. So we know, for example, from the bachelor's programs, that the big majority will have a job within about 4 months. Latest figures we have are about 92%. Some students will want to do a master's, which you can do, perhaps at another Dutch university, perhaps at a foreign university, even if you want. And many of the students go to very kind of reputable universities across the world, including places like Yonsei in Korea, University of Hong Kong, and Cambridge. So our students are welcome across the world. So the degrees are very transferable. A few practicalities. With your senior high school diploma, you will gain entry to the 4-year programs. If you want to do a program in 3 years, or only be done in 3 years, we do recommend the Pathway program. More on that in a moment. For the master's programs, you require a bachelor's degree and, very importantly, 2 years of work experience. You also require a test of English like IELTS or TOEFL, Cambridge. If you don't meet the English language requirements like an IELTS of 6, again, we have what's called a prep school, which works with Pathway. That can help you with all of that. Right, now nothing good is for free. It does cost you money. As a non-EU student, you will have to pay about €8,475 for a program per year. The master's programs range from about €19,700 to about €22,000. Living is reasonable in The Hague compared to other places. It's much cheaper than places like Amsterdam. So food and stuff like that, I would say, well, if you're like my daughters, they were definitely on the higher end of things, but I think most normal people would probably spend about €200 on food and transport and things like that. Accommodation, that is probably in the typical range of €450 to €650 a month for our bachelor's and for our master's students. So I would say be safe, and in year 1, budget for around 850 or so euros each month. You can get a part-time job to help make money when you've settled into the program. That's always a possibility. We will help find you accommodation in the first year, so you're not going to arrive and be homeless. We have quite a lot of, we don't own our own accommodation, which is typical, but we have work with special agencies which have a lot of student housing, perfect for students, which are very close to the university, within walking distance. So again, if you're going to go and do a bachelor's or a master's with us, I would recommend you use our housing service. Okay, and that's me going very, very quickly through my presentation. You may have some questions. I hope you do. You're very welcome to either email me. You can see my email address at the bottom. We also have lots more useful information on the website, on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. We also do things like virtual open days, where again, you can come and join us, meet our students and staff, and ask questions. Thank you very much. I think that was a quick gallop, through the Netherlands, The Hague, and the Hague University of Applied Sciences. But thank you for your time.